Dylan, thanks for taking your high vis off to let us know who the real worker is. Luke, thanks for your service on the streets out there, man.
Yeah, I got you.
Really appreciate that.
Yeah,
but what are you boys drinking tonight?
I got a Bud Light here. Got a nice
feed that to my dog, Luke.
Yeah, I got the Coors Light rocking. We'll make with what we can have here. So
true and blue to our old Montana whiskey people.
Montana. Is that a whiskey company out of Montana?
Yes. So if you're a whiskey guy, there's a whiskey called Bighorn, and we're not quite on the sponsorship level of them, but we're in the door with them. And not because I'm saying that because but it's my favorite whiskey. I'll drink that straight any day from the bottle if I had to.
Yeah.
But
hell yeah. I'm a big Basil Hayden guy. I love that stuff.
Dude, Basil Hayden really good. That popped out of nowhere.
I did.
And all of a sudden it was like every store. I'm like, what is this shit?
Yeah, it became a thing really quickly. But I think probably like last spring, probably a year ago this time, somebody was like, hey man, why don't you try this? And I tried it and I was like, this is some good stuff. And now,
damn, that shit's good.
I was always like, me and my buddies were always like Beam guys. Jim
Beam. Yeah, give me some of that Beam.
Yeah.
I feel you. Luke, go ahead.
Well, Luke's saying is we should be a sponsor, or they should be a sponsor of ours, just with how much he spent with them. So, all that free advertising we're given.
I had a couple drinks in me one night. I was with my fiance Riley, and I think I ordered 12 bottles. And I was like, oh hell yeah, we 12 of them, perfect. And it was like $600, and I'm like, maybe I went a little bit overboard, but I was so happy when it showed up.
Yeah. Hey, the Basil Hayden's not cheap either. I know how it is.
Good whiskey ain't cheap. Cheap whiskey ain't good, right?
Yeah, spot on.
Same with the work stuff. But anyway, we should probably get to the podcast. Dylan, tell us about yourself. How Luke and I were talking about this earlier when we were chatting about the podcast. We're like, I listened to your Sweat and Grind podcast, and that's what you had DM'd me on. And you're like, hey man, good stuff. I was on it too. I didn't even know that. So I went and listened to it, and I sent it to Luke. And when I first started to kind of look through your social media, I was like, oh shit, this dude's fucking sweet. He's got a social media thing from Steel Wrist. I was like, that's badass. But then we listened to the podcast, and I'm like, he's doing this for another guy.
Yeah.
Which is even cooler in my opinion. But I want to know a little bit about that. Like, how old are you? Give us kind of like a backstory of where you come from, what you do, things like that.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'll basically just kind of recap what I went over with them too over in Sweat and Grind. By the way, those guys are awesome. Brian.
They're electric. They're so funny.
Matt, those guys are cool. And we all live, I mean, shit, I'm flipping a house like 2 miles down the road from Brian. So
shit, yeah.
Oh, wow.
We're, I see them pretty often. They're cool guys, but anyways, get back to, to what we were talking about. So back in the fall, I graduated from, it would have been the fall. I graduated from Eastern Michigan with a construction management degree. I just turned 24 this past, what was that? 3 months ago.
Okay.
And my parents actually own their own business. So for a long time, I bounced around to a couple different jobs, and it was always, like hardscape companies. And that's kind of where I was introduced to equipment is some of those smaller hardscape companies would build, retaining walls, boulder walls, things like that. And then I just went, during school, I went to help my parents, and they own a painting company, siding company. They do gutters, nothing that's interesting. It's not fun stuff. It's not fun where I shouldn't say that. I had a good time, but not what I'm interested in. I worked for them for about 3 years through college just because it was easy. If I had an exam the next day, I could be like, hey, mom, dad, can I have the day off? I got to study, which I probably wasn't studying. I was probably fucking off doing something else, but that's
right. You're only young once, right? You have to do that.
So that was cool. And, I worked for them a lot. So, my dad's been a business owner since I was young. So, and he's done all kinds of stuff. He's a big entrepreneur. So that's kind of, I feel like a lot of, where I get my like entrepreneur, like just mindset is from him. And, when you see your parents working their ass off, it, you know, it kind of makes you want to do the same thing. Anyways, I'm kind of bouncing around everywhere, but
That's
worked
right.
for them for a long time. And then got my first internship last year, probably about a year and a half ago, with a big GC company. So they did a lot of K-12 work, hospitals, a little bit of public work, but most of it was the K-12 and hospital work. And they're huge. They're really big in our area. And I thought it was the coolest thing ever. I was so excited because it was what I was going to school for. And I did it for the internship lasted 3 months, and then they asked me to come on full time. I worked for them for about another 3 months because it was about a 6 to 7 month stint. And I was like, man, I really don't like this. Like I didn't, and it's not that I didn't like it. It's just, put it this way. Every time we were out on a site, I was always like under the superintendent out on the site, no matter where we were. And every time we were out on the site, only thing I was interested in was what are the earthwork guys doing today? What are the site work guys doing today? Like I could care less about what was going on the inside, you know, the plumbing, all the mechanical for that matter, the framing, all that. I was like, why don't you let me handle
the machines?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like you got these site work guys pulling up with big 336s, and I'm just like, whoa,
hell yeah, dude, roll on, brother.
Yeah, well, why don't you let me hop in that thing? And so I was always just picking their brain about that stuff. And like I said, I mean, I've operated equipment here and there and worked for, you know, other companies, back to the hardscape stuff and everything. But that I ended up just not liking it just because and I mentioned this with Sweat and Grind, but it's just like I was a total paper pusher, just like constantly, you know, going over RFIs, going over submittals. Like it just wasn't me. And I was like, man, I got to find something else to do. So I quit. And not even, I probably had 2 days off from my, you know, I put my 2 weeks in and did everything and quit. And I probably had 2 days off, and I was like, man, I got to figure out what I want to do.
Yep.
and I had, you know, I've always been interested in heavy equipment, especially land clearing, forestry mulching, that kind of thing. And those big dedicated forestry mulchers have always like caught my eye on the internet for the past 2-3 years. And I was just like, dude, I got to get in one of these things.
Those are fucking sweet.
They're badass. They're the coolest machines on the planet. There's nothing
easily.
There's literally nothing cooler. I mean, I can argue with anybody about it all day. I don't think there's anything cooler. And so I basically went on Google. I typed in land clearing companies near me. At the time, Justin Van Gordon, the owner, the company was JCC Services. And I was like, I'm going to give this guy a call. So I called it. And I mean, it was probably, I don't know, it was probably 8:00 at night. I'd been researching all day, and I called him up and I was like, hey, man, I gave him the whole spiel on me. I was like, this is what I've been doing. I'm not really interested in it. I want to help somebody run their business. I want to help somebody grow their business. What do you think? And he was like, can you start tomorrow? And I was like, fuck yeah.
I'm there.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
So I started the next day, showed up at 7 a.m. and I had just gotten shoulder surgery. I had a rotator cuff surgery from football way back in high school and stuff in sports. And I finally got my shoulder fixed. So I was in a sling. I showed up first day with in a sling to a land clearing company. And he's like, what? I didn't say anything, right? Because I didn't want to be like, hey man, I'm in a sling. Like,
dude, I got to collect unemployment or at least something here. I can't. Yeah.
So, I mean, I was literally probably a week out of surgery, and I just showed up and he's like, oh, all right. Yeah. He's like, all right. I mean, what do you want to do? I was like, man, I'll do anything. I don't care what you do. He's like, all right, well, why don't you just hang out here? He had a bunch of stuff to sell. He's Justin, the owner of Van Gordon Land Solutions. He's a big time entrepreneur too. He's gone from building houses to hardscapes, landscaping, just earthwork. And now he's kind of shifted into this land clearing company. Between the two of us, we've kind of figured that all out. But I sold a bunch of, just construction stuff that he didn't use anymore. Cause I told him, hey man, I'm this social media guru. Let me help you out. And at the time, I mean,
flipping shit on Facebook Marketplace. I remember you saying that. You're like, I just did that for the fun.
Yeah. At the time though, I mean, I had a drone that I'd fly around every now and then when me and my buddies were waterfowl hunting, just fucking around. But I was by no means a social media guru. I barely use my Instagram. Dude, one thing turned into another. I mean, it's crazy the way everything's worked out. But within 2 months, he was just like, dude, he's like, you and I can really do something. And I was like, 100%, man.
Bring it on.
Yeah, this is definitely something bigger than what, probably he expected, and then what I expected too going into it.
Yeah. I was going to say, so Luke, I know you're going to have questions on like the social media side of things.
Oh yeah.
Dylan, what I think is super cool, and sorry again, Luke, I'm cutting you off here, but before, I got to ask this while it's fresh. So what I think is super cool, Dylan, is that you went, because, not happy with my job, don't like the paper pushing side, to where, because didn't you go like propose your business plan to your parents or your dad, and they're like, I don't want anything to do with that. You're asking like 200 grand or 150 grand or something. Yeah. And you're like, oh, so what I think is super cool that didn't discourage you to where you're like, I'm going to do some research and find somebody then.
Yeah.
So what really interests me about that, it's kind of like a whole flip of what Luke and I are about, like, oh, hey, start your business. It's worth it, to where you found such an opportunity with somebody that already had a business, and dude, you guys took off, right? I look at your Steel Wrist ambassadorship, just like looking at your guys' socials, looking at the website, and then just listening to you guys, it sounds like you guys have just exploded. What I think is really cool. So tell us a little bit about, like, was there fear doing that? Were there regrets where you're like, I could be doing this on my own? Or were you like, hey, I'm going to show this dude that I'm a fucking badass. And I mean what I say by like, I'm a social media guru, and I can build this shit, huge for you. Like, tell me a little bit about that, because that really interests me.
So yeah, going that whole, I put that big presentation together for my dad. Like I said, he's a big entrepreneur. I was like, listen, give me a loan. Just give me a chance.
Just a small loan of $1 million.
He's always been in like, he's always been in like, your residential side of things. Like I said, siding, painting, gutters. And he was just like, dude, he's like, listen, like, I think you could do it. I totally have faith in the fact that you could do it, but I have no business investing this much money in something I know nothing about at the age I'm at. And I was like, totally cool, whatever.
Yeah, fair.
And to be honest with you, quitting that job, I mean, at that job, those big companies, obviously they can retain the employees because, one, they pay people good.
Yeah.
And you have to be a qualified candidate. So I knew that at the time, and I was like, man, this is a huge gamble, but I don't care, because it's not what I want to be doing. I didn't really think twice about it, man. I was just like, fuck it.
I'm fucking doing it.
And if it didn't work out with Justin, which I'm so happy it did, I would have found somebody else, because I've just always been ambitious like that. Anything I want to do, I make it happen. It doesn't matter, if it takes me 2 weeks like it did with Justin, or 6 months. I was gonna
that short of time. I love
it. But honestly, I mean, going into it, I mean, I guess I don't really know how to. It really just like took off. I don't like.
Dude, it was like a star aligned moment type.
Yeah,
like everything happened for a reason.
Yeah, there was really no rhyme or reason. I was going into it completely like chicken with his head cut off. Like, I'm gonna give it a try. What's the worst that could happen?
Yeah. And they say no.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And Luke, I'm really glad you brought that up, because, we talk to a lot of people who are, they start their own business, they kind of either jump in and take that risk, or they kind of figure it out as they go on their own. So it's been really cool, Dylan, to hear your story on the Sweat and Grind podcast, and also here too. And that episode that we're talking about, for people listening, it's land clearing with Van Gordon Land Solutions. Those guys with
Luke, you better have said that right. I heard him get mad at somebody who said it right.
I did say it right. The Sweat and Grind podcast, those guys are electric. So give that a listen, and you can hear more of the story. But Yeah, kind of just diving a little further into it. Do you see yourself more as like a businessman or more of like a construction guy? Because I see both, but I want to hear it from you.
Honestly, my favorite thing in the world, and I was kind of thinking about this before we got on. And I was talking to Justin today about this too. My favorite thing in the world is talking to people every day. At the end of the day, I mean, I love being out on the sites. I love running equipment. I love being with the guys. I love being around them and everything. And watching, a 15-acre site go from completely wooded to nothing. I mean, within a week too. That's the coolest thing. But I think the most important thing for me to do is to be out there in people's ear all day long, talking to them. The business side is definitely more important. And, there's trade-offs to everything, but I think 100% the business side is where I need to be. But like I said, some days, depending on the job, I just can't help myself and I got to get out there. And like today was one of those days I was like, we're gonna go
Fuck
out
the
there.
office, man. I'm headed in that feet or what?
We're gonna go fucking throw down out there today, boys, and we're gonna have a good time, like that kind of thing.
Yeah, no, I think that's great too, because you kind of need both sides, especially in this industry. And I came from a side of only digital marketing, only business, and now I'm kind of getting into this world of like, okay, Luke, you're gonna have to figure out this stuff if you want to kind of have some more of that respect and also be able to know what you're talking about. So having these conversations, talking to people every single day, being able to jump in a machine and go, having kind of that, rounding out your skill set, I guess, but then being able to jump on the phone, accelerate your business. I mean, the way I see it, you can do anything. And I mean that, especially when you have that mindset and that grind and that, willingness to, I think the coolest thing that I heard you talk about was just, picking up the phone. And, if you drove by, a site that was done and you just gave them a call quick and said, hey, this is what we do. Do you need any help? And sometimes it's like, you know what, actually we could use some help. And then just being in everyone's ear all the time, I think is so important. So Luke mentioned it earlier, but this, the Steel Wrist ambassadorship, like how did that all come up? I know I saw it on social media, obviously, and I was, kind of following those guys. What did that process look like? And what does that even mean?
That's fucking kick ass too, by the way. Sorry to interrupt, but that's sweet.
I appreciate it, guys. Honestly, well, Luke, one thing too, I want to go back to what you were talking about too, with the respect and with the guys too. Like there's only one industry in this world where you have to, gain your respect from somebody else before you can really I guess I really don't know how to put it, but like, there's not a lot of industries where you have to kind of like to show what you're worth before somebody's like, hey man, this guy's not that bad. And I just want to touch on that because it's so true in this industry. I don't know why it's like that, but I mean, obviously people really have to respect you in this world before you can, in our industry specifically, before you can really be something. And then that goes, when I started too with this company, everybody that works here is in, late 20s, 30s, and this 23-year-old kid shows up and they're like, and
what the fuck is this guy? I can tell in the sling? Like, what is he doing here?
Yeah, right.
Who the hell is this ass? But it goes a long way once everybody kind of, and I forget the quote, but I saw a video about it. Like, you want to be that guy that, you're on a job site, you're working your ass off and nobody knows your name, something along the lines of that. But hard work goes a long way. And that's going into it. Those first couple months, all I did was work my ass off just so these guys could be like, hey, maybe this kid isn't that bad. He's just, maybe he knows some things that we don't know. But the Steel Wrist ambassadorship, dude, it was a total shot in the dark. I remember back in, I don't know, it was probably October. Justin and I, he's like, why don't you come with me? He took me and we sat down with our equipment dealer, the equipment salesman we use for, all of our stuff, which shout out Josh Bianca at Alta Equipment. He's a bad motherfucker. I love that guy. we sat down with them at, I don't know, at some restaurant, wherever we were. And at the time, I mean, I knew what tilt rotators were, but I was like, man, you're actually going to do this? Like 70 grand on a tilt
For a
rotator?
fucking piece of for an attachment?
Yeah. Because I, like going back to everything, I came to him to help him with his business, and that comes with, funds and accounting and everything. And like, you sure you want to spend 70 grand on this? And he's like, I promise you, dude. Trust me. And I was like, all right. And I don't know, it took 6 months to get. And then when it hit the ground in March, obviously I've learned so much since then, but when it hit the ground in March, we were so excited to have it. And I remember we went up to the equipment dealer Alta, and I snapped a couple of pictures, took a video or two here or there with my brand new camera. I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to put this on Instagram.
Yeah.
And I put it on Instagram and tagged Steel Wrist, and they messaged me and they're like, hey, would you be interested in becoming an ambassador? Please fill out this application. So I filled out this application, and at the time they were requiring a certain amount of followers on all your pages and stuff. And I didn't even have that. Cause to be honest with you, our Instagram and TikTok, which people can say what they want about, the TikTok and stuff, but at the time they weren't huge, but I had the following and I had people reaching out all the time. Like, hey man, you guys got some cool stuff. Those are cool videos. We didn't even, they were requiring a certain amount of followers. We didn't even meet that. And I just basically told them like, hey, I'd be more than willing to show you all our analytics. We're on the up and coming, just give us a shot. And the application, it was like a comment section or something. And they were like, and whatever, a week goes by and they were like, I just get this email like, you've been, accepted. You are now a Steel Wrist ambassador. And I just remember being like, what the hell?
What the fuck?
You look at all these other guys on like Instagram and you like running these YouTube pages and stuff, and they're posting videos and pictures every day of them just doing crazy shit with these tilt rotators.
They're not even in ambassadors yet either. Yeah, they're trying to get that. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I was like, all right, this is cool. I mean, let's do it. And
let's fucking roll.
As far as like, what it entails, I really like, they haven't, and I actually was just messaging their social media, whoever runs their social media department over there in Steel Wrist over in Sweden. I was just messaging her this morning, like, hey, because they're sending us, I guess the first go around is, they're going to send us a bunch of merch and some stickers and stuff. And obviously we got to slap that all over stuff and I got to promote that stuff. But I'm like, what else are we planning with this? And they're like, well, we have a big, that we've got something planned. We're going to, get everybody together, in a meeting virtually and kind of go figure that out. And I was like, okay, well, just let me know when that is. So that's really, there's no set in stone details yet, but it's right around the corner. I'm sure they've got something soon. I know they've got so many ambassadors over in the UK and on the other side of the world that they're still announcing. I think they only picked a couple Americans. There was probably 4 or 5 of us. And I was just, that's another thing too. I was like, why us? But yeah, I mean, I'm all about it, dude.
Dude, that's super cool. Cause one of my guys the other day was like, because we've got the Encons on our E55 and then our 315. And Dylan, oddly enough, his name is Dylan too. Very similar to you, by the way. But he was like, Luke, like we have such a tool that so many people don't have. There's, you see them on social media, but he's like, they're not anywhere around you.
Fuck no.
And I was like, no, dude, you're 100% right. That's fucking crazy. But like, you see them all over social media and people are like, oh yeah, super cool. But like day-to-day stuff, it's not there.
No, there is not an excavation. I don't care what it is. Anybody with heavy equipment who owns an excavator, I can promise you there's nobody within probably 150 miles of us that owns a Steel Wrist or a rotator at that.
It's such an opportunity too. Cause like you said, for the marketing standpoint, we specialize in this because you can.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's so many things we can do that in such tight quarters, weird areas. It's just all kinds of different things that like, I mean, yeah, sure. It would take people, people could do it. People can make it happen, but the efficiency that thing brings to the table. And I'm sure, Luke, I mean, you every day it's
not there without one, I hate to plug it because we're not an ambassador for him, but dude, It is a lifesaver. Like it saves not so much like people are like, oh, you must save a lot. You know, obviously, yeah, you do save a lot of time. But as like an operator, you save that operator. It's almost like the morale. You know, they don't have to get out and shovel that 2 feet of dirt, uncovering whatever. Fucking twist that bucket around and scoop it right up.
Yeah.
Oh, it's sweet.
There's so much, you know, ground. You save so much work for your ground guys with that thing.
And they appreciate the hell out of you for that.
I'm sure they do. And it's almost like the investment you make in that. I mean, I'd be curious to know like what your like
ROI is on that. ROI, but then also like guys' morale, guys like medical bills, say 4 years down the road.
No kidding, dude. I mean, there's so much thinking to it. It makes me think all the time, and I'm constantly like, man, I'm curious about it.
I think it says a lot too. Like, invest in, you know, it's talked about all over the place, but unless you're actually living in it, but you invest in equipment that makes you guys faster, that saves the physical labor part. And I think that's a huge opportunity on the hiring side too. Like, hey, obviously we're hiring, but here's the shit that'll help make your job easier.
Yeah.
No, definitely.
Let me ask you this. Do you have people reach out to you like, hey man, you got like, I love all your guys' black equipment. I love what you guys run. Do you have people ever reach out to you and like, hey man, I'd love to have a job?
There's a lot of people that like DM us and like, hey, let me know when you're hiring. Let me know. And, you know, I know you talk to like Taylor White and he always posts about that shit. He's like, I got so many fucking employees. I don't know what to do with people DMing me. DMs are full, like closing them. So it's cool. Like you get some seriously, like you get some really good applicants from that, which is really cool.
Yeah.
A shit ton, because I think people see that as like a value standpoint.
100%.
In the company wise, obviously, like we had just talked about, it's a huge investment for making their job easier. And that's what people are about.
Yeah.
Circling back now, this strikes my curiosity too. So you reaching out to an already established business within, you said 2 weeks.
Yeah.
How did you go about saying, dude, your name sucks, we're going to rebrand, here's what we're going to do? How did you establish that trust? Because I know like Dylan, Andy, my guys are like, Luke, we need this. And I'm like, no, you know, not fuck you guys, but fuck you guys. I'm like, you know how much that shit costs? I'm like, absolutely not. So I'm genuinely curious, like how you swindled that. Cause I know they're going to listen to this podcast and be like, all right, I know how to do this now. But no, like at the same time too, that's super cool to like establish that trust that soon, where he's like, hell yeah, let's fucking do it.
Well, to be honest with you, it all started like, and going back to the whole, like, you know, gaining his trust thing. I mean, that first week or two I started, and this goes way back. I learned this from my cousin who started a landscape company from the ground up, who I briefly spoke about it. I got into hardscapes, and that's where I kind of first started running equipment. I mean, they had some mini excavators and skid steers and stuff, and that's where I started. But him and his business partner, dude, they were, I don't know, 20, 23, 24, our age right now. And they would just cold call people all the time. And how I gained that trust going into working with Justin is I'd show up. I mean, our guys are lucky, man. They start at 8:00 every day. They
live sleep in a little bit, get your morning routine done.
They live a fantasy life and I tell them this all the time. I said, dude, we might be the only people in this state that do what we do and start at 8:00. And they know that, and they don't take it for granted, which is nice. But I'd show up, you know, at 7:00 and just start cold calling the shit out of it. And again, you guys are hearing this again, but just start cold calling the shit out of people. And I think that's where Justin really was like, man, this kid really cares. Like he wants to make this something that it isn't. And so when I came to him and like, it was probably November, December. And I was like, dude, listen, I call all these people and I say, hey, this is Dylan with JCC Services. And every time somebody's like, huh? What did you say? JDC?
You say JC's seed?
And it's at the time he loved that brand because it has a lot of, it means a lot to him because it has, you know, his kids are, that was his kids' initials, like that kind of thing. And so it was weird for me at first to be like, Justin, we need to I sat
out.
him and his wife down. And I was like, guys, I like, just trust me on this. Let's just, and he was at first, he was like, fuck no. He's like, not a chance.
Yeah.
He's like, his thing was, dude, usually when people rebrand, it's because something bad happened. It's because, there's issues within the company, this or that. And I was like, I know. And he's like, and everybody know, and he's done a lot of great work over the years, and he gets a lot of referrals, and he didn't understand. He's like, man, all these people are going to look me up and they're never going to be able to find me. And I was like, Justin, I got you.
Let me tell you.
I was like, everybody will look your name up on Google, JCC Services, and I will make it direct back to you. And he's like, how? What do you mean? And this is where Scott got involved, right? Because I didn't know at the time. And shit, I've learned so much for Scott over the past couple of months too, like the whole winter months, when things slow down. And I'm sure, maybe it doesn't. If it doesn't, good for you. But, January, February, we were.
Oh yeah, dude, it slows down up here big time.
The snow just kills us. Everything. And so I spent a lot of that time like talking with Scott and learning about the websites and stuff and figuring out how to do all that. Like when somebody looks up JCC Services, I told him, I'm like, Van Gordon Land Solutions has to come up or Justin will slit my throat. Like that.
Like this has to be there. Make sure you don't spell it wrong. Don't say it wrong.
So easy. Let me he types a couple things in and shows me. I was like, oh, that's really easy. So it took like probably a week of me being like, come on, let's do this. Come on. And what I did actually, me and Scott sat down, we made the logo, and I brought the logo on actually these shirts right here. What I had on, I got like 2 Carhartt shirts and made them up without him even knowing, and brought on the shirts. I said, dude, look how fucking cool this is. This is your last name. I mean, you got 3 kids. He's got a boy. I'm sure his boy will be involved at some point. I was like, this is sweet. It's your last name. JCC. How about Van Gordon? And he was like, all right, let's do it.
You got me here. You like kind of set the hook, reeling it in.
He just kind of was like, dude, take care of it. If you fuck up, I swear to God, like this is not gonna be good. I was like,
you're gonna hear about it.
Got you. Yeah. So that's really, there was really no like, I mean, obviously it took a little bit of convincing, but there wasn't a lot of back and forth. It was just, I am really, I mean, literally just. I don't even know if my dad would let me do that to his company.
Yeah.
Like,
he'd be like, fuck no, I built this thing from 1980s to now. You're not changing it.
So the fact that he let me do that, and him and his wife, and that's his entire family's on the line there, and everybody he had working for him before me. Like if I would have fucked that up for everybody, that's him, his family, and 10 other guys' lives on the line. I mean, if you think about it, they come to work to make a paycheck to live their lives with their families. And
100%.
It's, I don't know, the way it worked out is crazy, but it was a fun roller coaster this past winter.
Yeah. That's super cool.
It definitely takes a lot of trust too. Like you said, to just hand that off and be like, yeah, I got you. Trust me with it. But I'll tell you what probably did help sway the decision is you going above and beyond, like printing out these shirts, showing him his name on, changing the logo, doing things that he didn't ask you to do, to show him like, trust me on this, like this is going to be so much better. And honestly, I feel like that's part of my job. A lot of the times, we partner with excavation companies, and it's like, I see how you want to do it, but trust me, like this would be better especially on the digital side. It's just, we have experience working with other companies. So just trust me when I say, let's just try it out and see how it goes. So even you just printing out the shirts, I think that's awesome, but it definitely shows like how you
initiative.
Yeah. How you just want to get her done and, get it done right. So, but it also shows too that, like I said, your boss trusts you. But it also seems like you guys have a great relationship. So what has that been like? I mean, you guys seem very close. So what's it been like working for a boss that you actually like to work for?
Yeah.
True. Good question.
Yeah, that's, dude, it's cool. I mean, honestly, there's really no way to like lay it out to make it make sense, but every day is pretty, I'm pretty much like I'm to the point now where Justin's, this is his motto right here. Every day I hear this from, and I'll call him up. We send the guys out to the jobs, disperse them, whatever, and Justin goes and does his thing, and maybe I go to another job site or whatever, and I'll call him and be like, yep, like, yo, you guys good? Do you need anything? He's like, and every day he's like, Dylan, do your thing. Do your thing. All right, dude. I mean, I probably hear that at least 5-6 times a week. Like, just do your thing, man. Do your thing. Yep. And that's
just total trust.
Yeah. And if there were more people out there like that took those chances and were like, hey, you've got this guy here that wants to, do something, just let him do his thing. I think, there could be a lot more of me out there at numerous companies doing their thing to help, the business grow. Because at the end of the day, I mean, how do I say this without being selfish? I mean, obviously I'm doing
this. Dude, be selfish. Be selfish. I'm serious. Be selfish. Lay it out there.
I'm doing this for myself, but I'm also, I mean, I've also developed relationships, and you guys notice that. I mean, Justin, he's one of my really good friends now, and the fucking dude's I don't know, 13 years older than me. Like, he's one of my really good friends. Yeah. And same with everybody that works for us. I'm fucking great friends with them, and they're all at least 10 years older than me. And like, I don't know. It's that I will always just go back to that. Do your thing. He told me that today I showed up to a job site, him and a couple of guys right now. I was like, hey, you guys all right? And I snapped a couple of pictures, whatever. And I was like, you need me to do anything today? He's like, no, do your thing, man.
Do your thing.
Yeah.
Fuck. I was going to ask a really good question. Oh, bingo. Advice. So like you had just said, like if there was more people willing to take on that mentality from your perspective, how can people do that? And then how can people in your same situation where you have that talent to fucking go do it on your own, right? If Justin would have said no, if other people would have said no, I'm sure eventually you'd have been like, fuck it, I'm just going to start it myself, right?
Yeah.
So like elaborate on that. Give people some advice to what you've learned, some mistakes you've made, to be like, hey, if you find people like A and B or like this, I guarantee you're going to get taken care of. Like, give us some perspective on that.
Honestly, man, and I might just have really good luck. I have no idea.
Yeah.
It's really like, it says a lot too. Like, I mean, anybody could have called, and this goes to anyone too. Like they could call local businesses around them. And to be honest with you, I would always attack the small businesses. I would start at the small businesses. Don't try and call, I don't know, we've got, like you guys do, you market to those smaller 7-figure companies. The small businesses are where it's at. If I tried to call, some big corporation on here and was like, hey, give me a chance, it would have been like, what?
Yeah, send your resume and we'll get back to you at some point. Yeah.
And I knew that going into it because I've been around it for so long. So it's harder for people to understand that, maybe just because they haven't, like, I've just grown up with it, man. My parents, they didn't come home till 7-8 o'clock. And me and my brothers just sitting at home with the dogs, like, huh?
Where's dinner, Mom?
Yeah. My parents are just working their ass off though. But to like really give somebody any advice, I mean, really it's just call around and like, and you could do this and probably filter through 5 different companies, but it's really the culture. I knew, like, within a week of showing.
What do you look for in culture? Like what were your like points where you're like, yep, bingo, hits point A, B, C, no red flags.
And everybody says this, and I hate the fact that everybody says it. Even these big companies, we're family owned, family oriented.
Yep.
I hate it.
I heard when people say when we're a family-owned company, you run, or like, dude, we're like a big family.
Yeah. Most of those companies, they're garbage. Everything about it's toxic. There's because I've worked for those companies. I've been there. I've done that. I know. Like, oh yeah, we're a family company, but I don't want to get into it, but I know.
I feel. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
I could just tell. I showed up. I mean, these guys and Justin does a great job of it. As far as like morale goes and everybody with the guys, like, dude, everybody shows up at 8 o'clock. And again, and I've told him this forever, and I joke with all the guys, and I already told you guys, I'm like, no construction company starts at 8 o'clock every day besides, and which is fine, but we end up working till 7, 8 o'clock sometimes.
Correct.
And I don't know, you like give or take, you either start earlier, and it is what it is. That's besides the fact, but like, you can just tell, like, you show up at 8 o'clock and we all kind of hollow around and just shoot the shit. Willie, what'd you do last night? Kyle, what'd you do last night? Anthony, what'd you and your family do? Doug, what'd you and your family do? Like, everybody gets a chance to be like, this is what I did last night. I had fun. Dude, last night sucked. I had a terrible time. Me and my girlfriend got in a fight, whatever it is. And I was like, oh, this is
where I want to be. Hell yeah. Yeah.
Because I am not about going to work and just being like, what's up? Hey guys. Like,
here's my time card. What are we doing today?
Fuck that.
Oh, my back hurts. Fuck you, Jim. Shit like that. Yeah.
Do you guys know that work could be fun if you made it fun?
Correct.
Like making money can be fun. Making money doesn't have to suck. And that goes for everybody from the top down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Correct. So in the position you're in right now, what are do you and again, let me know if I'm overstepping when asking this, but what are your expectations for the work you're putting in? Have you and Justin sat down and kind of hey man, if we get to here, I'm putting you here? What are your stairs? Where do you want to be?
So basically, we have a great kind of, and he's the best thing is too, because there's also people on this earth who will 100% take advantage of people like me, people like us.
Oh, dude, straight up.
Their asses off, and they'll be like, oh yeah, here you go, just flip you a couple hundreds every time and be like, hey man,
appreciate you. Yep, keep doing what you're doing. Thanks for the 90 hours this week.
Dude, you could be gone in 2 days and they could give 2 fucks.
Yeah.
With Justin, it's totally different. I mean, he tells me this all the time too. He's like, dude, I guess I can say this. I don't know. He told me the other day, he goes, I want you to make more money than me this year.
Yes. Yep.
And you have, if the fact that somebody who has built a business from the ground up and been where I've been, 23, 24 years old, broke, just nothing.
Paycheck to paycheck type, have these big dreams where you're looking at the accounts. Yep.
Yeah. And he's just like, dude, you need to be, compensated for what you've done. And we've obviously gone back and forth, a couple times on negotiation stuff, but we've come to an agreement where it works out for both him and I. And I'd like to get to the point where, and this is also where he wants to get to, is he's trying to get more. And I'll give him this. He is a really good entrepreneur, because he's done three businesses like this before, where he's kind of handed it to somebody else and said, you're free.
Take it off. Yep.
Yeah. And again, that I think a lot of that has to do with luck and me just picking up the phone and being like, hey, give me a
right
chance.
place, right time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
But it's at some point it's going to get to that point where he's like, here you go. This is yours. I'm going to do something else. He's always thinking about the next step. I can tell you today, he's already thinking about, we've already been, had discussions about what's next, what's he going to do, because he's not to say he's tired of it, but he's like, I want to find something new. He's like, he's, not scatterbrained, but just man, I got to find something else to do. This ain't it anymore.
Always trying to compliment, as he grows, trying to make more paths. 100%.
Yeah. I mean, he's an entrepreneur. It sounds like Luke and I mean, we got the shiny object syndrome where we get excited about a lot of things.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I am so, and Riley can attest to this too. If I see something, I'm fucking buying it. And then I'll regret it later. I'll be like, hell yeah, this is super cool. But I'm like, oh, I dropped this much. I'll have to work a little bit harder to pay for that shit. But hell yeah, I'm super impulsive.
Yeah, Luke, you're worse than I am, but I can see it in both of us, where business ideas come up all the time. But it is what it is. It comes with the territory. So
I was Dylan, the dirt bags. We're like, yeah, let's start a media company. And Luke's like, yeah, let's do it. And we're like, all right, let's set our LLCs, let's get all this shit sent away. And then we're both like, what are we gonna do? And we're like, we'll just fucking figure it out.
Yeah. And now here we are with Dirtbags Media Group LLC. So we are rocking and rolling.
You guys are killing it. That's awesome.
Actually, we just made our first $100, Luke. Hell yeah.
How so? Let's hear about it.
So kind of the story behind the Dirtbags is Luke and I wanted to set up kind of like almost like a business source, right? There's not a lot of sources for businesses to go to get insight from, whether it's consumers, whether it's businesses, whatever it may be, right? So Luke and I wanted to kind of set up a platform, and the podcast is kind of the basis of the platform, to hear people's stories. Again, kind of generic on the story side, but it's super cool because there's so many different stories to tell and a lot of similarities in people's stories with, there's similarities with what you've said with a guy that I have. His name's Dylan too, right? So it's fun to kind of make like a place of a community, if that makes sense. And obviously the dirt world, Luke and I know pretty well.
Yeah.
But so we have like a referral source. There's a bank that I use for a lot of my stuff, to where they're a smaller business and they're like, hey, Luke, we're really looking to grow. And that's kind of where Luke and I got this idea, like, hey, we can make a business out of this too. So like, say, somebody hops up and they're like, I'm looking for, a good company to work for that offers, flexible financing. I want flexible terms, things like that. And that's what this company is. And we just refer them to them. And then we get, referrals based off that, basically. And so we sent the guy to him probably about 2 weeks ago, and we made $100. Hell yeah.
Oh, baby.
Cash that
Hell
check.
yeah. So
fuck yeah, boys.
We don't have a bank account set up yet, but we got a $100 check.
It's coming out.
Yeah, the bankers, every time I go in there, they laugh at me when I tell them it's Dirtbags Media Group. But no, we're super stoked though. We definitely see the concept. Luke and I both have multiple brands in the dirt world, from Western Excavation, Black Iron Dirt, Dirt Work Marketing, Dirt World, Phaser Marketing. Like, they all kind of do the same thing. And so we're like, let's get Dirtbags and kind of have everything. So yeah, like Luke said, we're going to have our resources, basically like trusted and vetted resources that we would refer to anyone. And then we just take our cut. So another one too is Jobber, Luke uses Jobber. And so we're like, okay, boom. So we got partnered up with them. So we'll have them on the website. And then as we continue to grow, we'll get sponsors. And then we're also going to be highlighting other podcasts that Luke and I have been on. So Luke and I were on the Sweat and Grind podcast. Like, that episode will be on the website. I've been on the Built with Build podcast. Luke was on Dirt Talk with Aaron Witt. Like, we want all of those kind of showcasing other podcasts, not just ours, and really, bringing the dirt world together. But also, like, we realize that it's not all about content and like shooting the shit, but it's like, sometimes you need a trusted tax professional. Sometimes you need a lawyer and shit to like get your stuff done. So we want to be that source that can say, here's a good guy, I use him, check him out. If it works, great. Then, we get a small percentage of that.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, that's what I was talking to Justin about recently too, is like, because going back to that whole, kind of marketing thing we were talking about with my buddy who owns the marketing company, but his only issue is like, yeah, I could get into, marketing for construction companies, but I couldn't tell you the difference between an excavator and a bulldozer.
Yep.
Right. I was like, okay, so me and you can do this together.
Yep.
And it all plays hand in hand, but I guess
that's super cool though. Like, it's cool to like see people or see other people have that same vision. Like, hey, there's a huge need for this shit.
Yeah.
So no, that's badass.
When did you go on the Build With podcast? I usually listen to that.
Oh, dude, I'll look it up.
Episode 88, wasn't it? I think it was 88.
Now, 88.
Oh, dude, you have that memorized?
It was October. No, I sent it to Jordan today.
Big shooter.
Okay.
All right.
Dude, this was a while ago.
It was pretty good. It was good.
Was it? I'll listen to it.
No, so that was a really fun podcast because a lot of people don't know. So like, I have Black Iron. We just started the Western Excavation, but I also have a full-time job where I'm a boat sales guy.
What?
Yeah, dude. So I'm like, I still work there like full time. So
dude.
Yeah, dude. So, and people don't believe me when I say
Are you
that.
selling pontoons or like
No, dude, like wake boats, like Antique. I just came from work too. So yeah, so we sell like the high end stuff, which is super fun. But yeah, people don't believe me because they're like, I wear my stuff all the time, and the place I work is they're super good to me. But then also like my guys, I kind of give them I probably should use that, do your thing, but I'm like, you guys are way better at operating than I am. You guys are way better at doing the shit than I am. I'll give you the tools and let's build this up together. So that's kind of where that went.
Dude, you're a badass.
No, dude, we're just having fun, right? Life's a game.
That's
but
crazy.
Yes. So the Build With podcast, I just talked about that basically with Aaron. So it was fun.
That's cool. I'll give it a listen.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We appreciate that. So
yeah. Aaron appreciates it. He's the one making, the money off the listens there. But
I want to know what that fucker makes off his podcast, because I listen to that shit like religiously. I see that little blue circle pop up, and I'm like, "Yep."
Podcast. What do you think he makes off the whole Build What enterprise? Dude?
Right.
I looked that up one time, and I don't know how accurate that is, but they said they were like a $7 million company, like revenue wise. And I'm like,
more than that,
dude. You think so?
It's gotta be.
Yeah,
it's a huge fucking company.
Look at their office. Look at their employees. Just think there's a lot that goes into their business. A lot of travel.
There is.
They
a
make
fuck ton of traveling.
Serious change, dude. They can't have that many people with the amount of skill that all those people hold. You think of that? I mean, I follow probably 10, 15 of those guys that work for BuildWit, and you couldn't tell the difference between one picture that Aaron took and another picture that like Eric Jumper
that the others took. Yeah, dude, they're all fucking, they're so beautiful, talented. Yes.
I steal shit from them all the time. I'm like, that's a fucking idea.
I'm gonna put that same shit.
Yeah. Dude, I just posted a video on Instagram this past week. I think it was like a Monday or something. I was driving down the road. I left the guys at a job site, and I was going to visit another crew in Ann Arbor, about 30 minutes away. And on my way there, I passed this big ass earth moving job. Huge. They're probably moving, a couple 100,000 yards out there.
Oh, a shit ton. Yeah.
And they had a couple of D6 dozers out there, some haul trucks, some big excavators. They were drilling big piles. I was like, fuck it. I was like, I got a sec. I stopped, threw my drone up in the air, took a couple of videos, brought it back to the truck, put my, my laptop on the hotspot, made a video real quick, put it on Instagram, TikTok, and I took back off to the next job. And I was like, man, I feel like fucking Aaron Witt right now. I just videotaped a random contract.
Didn't even tell him about it.
Yeah,
stole that footage.
I just walked out there, started flying my drone up, and I went back and looked at the footage, and man, you can see these fucking 56-year-old operators. I shouldn't say 60. Let's say 40, 50. They're sitting in there, and my drone's fucking 10 feet away from their cabin. They were probably, what
the hell is this?
Nobody ever is filming us. And I'm just out there.
These birds are getting weirder and weirder.
Yeah. But I did the same thing, dude. And I was like, that was sweet.
It's such a cool perspective.
Yeah.
Like, people don't see that. And that's where, I think the BuildWit team has really made a cool example of seeing just outside of the fucking safety cones, right? Or seeing outside of just the job site.
Nobody in their right mind, let's say, I don't know, 3-4 years ago, besides Aaron Witt, would have done that. I would have
nobody.
I would have never walked up to a construction site with my camera, just been like,
no, you wouldn't have.
Yeah. It's cool, dude. I respect what he's done, and fuck, it's gotten me to the point where I'm like, I'm gonna go throw my drone up. I don't even care.
Yeah. But then look at the following that creates too. Like, people thoroughly enjoy that shit.
Yeah.
They're like, this is fucking cool.
Yeah. 100%. So many people.
That's crazy. That's crazy. But hell yeah.
Yeah.
Dylan, before we wrap up here, I want to ask you a little bit about, I guess I'm a big advocate for this whole life balance deal. I've got a wife here in Arizona, and, kids are going to be on the way at some point. So, I love talking business. Luke and I are always on the phone talking business,
I got super
whatever
drunk
it is.
the other night when Luke was over. So sorry about that, Luke.
Yeah. I was back up in North Dakota, and he had us over at their place for dinner. So that was awesome. But
That was fun.
yeah, definitely just wanted to touch on that of how is your life balance, because we're at this weird time where we're in our mid-20s and we're trying to grind, especially in this entrepreneur world. How's your life balance been, and how do you see that moving forward?
That's a deep question.
My balance is terrible.
Yeah.
I have devoted I don't pay attention to anything else right now besides work, which is fine. I mean, it works right now, but I definitely could, spend some more time paying attention to my girlfriend, which she's awesome. She's definitely supportive, but sometimes she's like, dude, quit. Just quit for 2 hours.
Yeah.
Right. And this is funny. You guys could probably agree with me on this. Because before I had mentioned, I never, I would scroll through TikTok on my personal accounts. I would scroll through Instagram. I'd watch, my couple YouTubers, I'd watch whatever. And that was that. And I really was never glued to the phone. And she'll always say now, oh, you're so glued to your phone. But I'm like, Hannah, I'm fucking on Instagram. I tell her this all the time. I'm like, dude, I'm talking to grown ass men. I'd be texting you. I'm talking to him all day long, DMing him yo, what are you guys doing today?
Your shit's sweet. You're working when you're not working.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's definitely been hard for her to be to understand, which thankfully she's kind of wrapped her head around it. Oh, okay. He's just fucking networking with everybody on this earth.
Right.
Which is what I'm doing, you guys are doing, everybody else in this social media world is doing. It's what you have to do if you want to be, not to say where I'm at, but you guys are at, and a lot of these big names out there, they're at, you have to do it. And so I'll pick up my phone every now and then, and she'll be like, "Are you even listening to me?" I'm like, "Yeah, I gotta like this picture real fast."
Hold on. I gotta scroll back to that really quick. I heard what you said
real fast or whatever, because it's Saturday, and I'm like, Hannah, I gotta post a TikTok. I got a video on Instagram. Just relax. Give me 10 minutes. Other than that, though, dude, honestly, I'm kind of excited to see how it goes when hunting season rolls around, because last hunting season was pretty easy because I was still kind of gaining Justin's trust, but on the weekends, Saturdays, Sundays, we weren't working that much. I wasn't working that much. Obviously, some of his employees were, but I was kind of just a 5-day week guy until I really showed him what I was worth. So I'd be weekend warrior hunter on the weekend and stuff. So once waterfowl season rolls around this year, I'll be curious to see how much time. Put it this way. I usually I'm a huge fisherman. I like to do a lot of walleye fishing on the Detroit River in the spring, a lot of bass fishing throughout the summer. And I haven't been fishing one fucking time this year. I didn't go ice fishing. I haven't been fishing one time this spring. I think I did bass fish a couple weeks ago out of my parents' lake, but I'm thinking about work.
Yeah.
I want to make money just the both of you. Sometimes you just, I don't know. There's people that argue oh man, set work aside and, enjoy your free time. But if you like what you do, what the fuck?
Exactly.
Correct.
You're making money, then holy shit, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah. Why would you stop?
Absolutely. Yeah. I remember I asked Aaron with that. He was on episode 1 of Dirtbags. And I think it was that one that I asked him, what do you like to do for hobbies? And he's like, you could hear him wrestling with it. He's like, honestly, dude, I don't have hobbies right now. I am 1000% business.
Yeah.
I am. And, I think in the back of his head, he's like, okay, this may not be the best thing, but I enjoy what I do. I love what I do. This is what I want to be doing. Am I putting everything into this? Yes. Is that good? I think so. Do some people think that's bad? Probably, but their goals are different as well. So I think it also depends on where your goals are set, where you're looking, because if he's 1000% focused in construction and in his business and in BuildWit, and he doesn't want to sit there and watch Netflix, it's more power to you. So
Yeah.
I see that with you. And that's why I love asking people, because if they're at peace with like, I actually love working, Luke and I, we love talking business. This actually is my hobby, and it happens to pay me, happens to pay Luke, and it's paying you. So
it's nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's nice when it
don't
works
worry,
out like that.
Your $15 commission checks is in the mail. Don't worry, from that $100. So
there's always going to be those guys too that shoot you down. Like, I have buddies that I've been friends with forever. Like, dude, why do you work so much? Like, let's go fuck off for a little bit. And I'm like, no, I've fucked off so much with you guys, right?
You're like, I'm gonna go fuck off at work.
Yeah, how about I go fuck off, but I'm also going to make money instead of fucking off with you and spend money.
Correct.
And they take it so like to heart, and I'm just like, guys, like, just relax. Like, because I like some of my really good buddies. I mean, not to say they're not motivated people or anything, but they're just and this may be the wrong thing too, but like we're at different stages of life.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. They just want to continue to fuck off, which is fine, dude. Do your 9 to 5, work 5 days a week, and fuck off. But like, when
I got different priorities.
Saturdays, Sundays, I'm probably going to be working because honestly, it's fun. I like being outside. I don't know. That's probably, then it goes back to your question too, with the work balance stuff, but it's a lot of them, it's grown on to at this point. They'll call me at like Sunday and they'll be like, are you working? I'm like, yeah. They're like, all right, we want to go off. We figured we'd come. And I was like, oh, maybe next time.
Do you see like distance being created with some of those people? Because I know like a lot of the times, like people are like, you become who you hang around, right?
See, I mean, you could like make that argument, and like I have such like a deep, I care about like so many of my good friends who I've grown up with, and maybe they might not be like in the right headspace or in the right place in life, but like if put it this way, if one of them calls me, I don't give a fuck what time it is. I pick up the phone. I'm like, what the fuck's going on, dude? Like, it's been a couple of weeks. Like,
right,
oh, dude. Like, I don't. That to me, I mean, I guess I don't really think of it that way. And they've kind of understood that too. Like, I mean, they might not hear from me, every week like they used to, maybe every couple weeks. And I'm like, yo, Mike, what's up, dude? Like, what's going on? Like, I don't know. They've gotten used to it, and they almost like respect it. I have them all the time, like texting me like, dude, your Instagram story, what the fuck was that? Like, oh, that was kind of funny. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know, dude.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah. Like they're with it now. And even two of them have been like, because they're at the same kind of spot I was at with out of college working this job, and they're like, dude, this kind of sucks. Like, and I've had them come to be like, can I have a job? And I'm like, I mean,
no,
probably not, because you just don't have like, I've got enough guys that we're trying to train right now. If you were qualified and needed to, and that's so much to ask for. And I'm sure, Luke, you can attest to this.
Yeah, I feel you. And it's hard to say no to your friends, because it's like, I'd love to help you out, but at the same time, business is business. Like, dude, I love you, but you don't have what it fucking takes.
Yeah. One thing I've learned from my dad, and I'm very, very glad I have, is he has always said, do not hire friends, do not hire family. And it's true. It just probably, I don't know, what do you think? 80, 75% of the time it don't work out, and 90% of the time, I bet you it usually ends up.
It's rarely over 10%, I'm sure, that it ever works out.
I mean, my dad went into business with his little brother, dude. They don't even fucking speak anymore. They haven't spoken in 5 years.
Yeah, see, that gets tough. That gets tough.
He's just like, don't do it. And and I love my friends to death, but they don't have what it takes.
Yeah. I feel you.
Yeah.
I know, going into business with Luke, I was just thinking about this. I'm like, there's times where I know like we'll get an email from somebody and then Luke will have a reply, and I'm like, fuck, I should have replied to that like 5 minutes ago. But I feel like we're so similar that it's like, shit, whatever.
No, everyone knows just to email both of us, and one of us eventually will reply.
Yeah.
No,
we compliment each other, Luke.
I fucking loved, I don't know. And it's honestly, not knowing you guys, and now that I've both heard your voices and put a voice to a face, it makes sense now. But I can't remember back to what was that last podcast where one of you guys was like, I'm trying to phase out emails completely. Text
me.
message.
That was Luke.
You are a fucking genius. I hate email. It's another form of text.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's the stupidest thing. And I've gotten a lot of like developers and builders we work with for the clearing jobs. I just won't. I mean, I say I won't answer their emails, but they've gotten
you pick and choose.
Yeah, they've gotten to the point now where they'll text me like, "Hey, this customer has requested this," like, or what can we do about this price? Like, and we're still. It's not like we're not getting it in words. We've still got it in words. It's just in the
text.
I am fucking dude. I'm on that train so hard with you. You have no idea. It's Luke. You made a good argument. The other Luke, but Luke,
you got to play devil's advocate, right? Although I fucking hate, I shouldn't say that. I don't fucking hate emails, but there's like times where I get home and I'm like, I have 65 emails to reply to.
Dude, oh my God.
It's overwhelming. Where like a text, I'm like, oh shit, yeah, text gone, done. Bingo, answered.
Yeah.
And at the same time, it's the same as an email, but it's like just the formality of like, oh, I have to email this.
Same thing as a fucking email without the signature.
Yes. Correct.
Yeah. So I've got a little experiment going after that podcast. So I have dirt work marketing as well. So it's an Instagram page I started, and it's basically the same exact company as Phaser Marketing, just more dirt focused. And basically my experiment is going to be, can I start a business with 0 emails? And can I run this thing bigger than Phaser, basically? And because Phaser's, there's emails on thousands of business cards that I've handed out and any social media or anything, but dirt work marketing, I haven't created an email yet. So I'm like, all right, let's see if we can do this thing. So, in the next couple months here, I'm setting up texting automations, texting everything, having everything forwarded to my phone. And we're going to see if we can do it.
I'm so on board with it. I'm 100% on board with it. I love the idea. And when I heard that, it clicked. I was like, he made that sound so easy.
It should be that easy though, too, right?
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah.
Dude,
that's fucking sweet.
You're going to fucking change the game, dude.
Let's go. I love it.
Fuck you.
Luke, you fucking revolutionary.
Hey man, just trying to do my job.
The corporate world is going to hate you.
I know.
Yeah. Hey, please advise. Can you clarify this? Or like, I hate all those that email term, dude. That's all from like back to my GC days. Like every email from the same person or to the same, like anybody I send is like, please advise, please clarify this.
Yes.
Like, it's just
thanks, Samantha, for sending over. Here's my thoughts. Fuck you. Yeah. I don't care about that shit.
Yeah.
I feel you. That's funny.
For our conversation.
Yeah, per my last email.
But
fuck that.
Awesome. So I mean, Dylan, just want to say thanks again. Dirtbags episode 5. I feel like you're definitely one of the dirtbags with us. So
I think it's my favorite episode.
I mean that as a compliment. It was honestly really cool to, for one, listen to the entire Sweat and Grimes podcast. They beat us on the time length. I think it was about an hour 50. Yeah. But, just listening to your story again and getting to talk with you today was awesome. And we appreciate your time, but also just,
the insight too.
The insight and what you're doing for the industry, because I think, you see it as well. Us 3, we're not going away anytime soon.
Nope.
And we might as well add value where we can and work together in that process. So I know we had, talking about some stuff, off the call too. It's like, how can we all like work together to, propel this industry? So thank you so much for your time. Everyone, thank you for listening. We've got our new website launching, dirtbagspodcast.com. Check it out. We'll have all of our podcasts on there as well as other resources. So Luke, you dirtbag, any last things to say?
Luke, I think you hit everything. Dylan, thanks for coming on. Like I just said, I think this is probably one of my favorite podcasts because I can relate so well. And it's fun to hear that insight from a younger stud in the industry. So Dylan, thank you again.
I definitely had a good time. I appreciate you guys having me on. I'm glad we got to connect, and I look forward to, what the 3 of us can kind of come up with in the future. Cause I know
definitely
we've got some bright minds between the 3 of us. I think we come up with some cool stuff. So I look forward to it.
Absolutely, brother.
Yeah.
Bye.
All right, guys.
Well, hey, we appreciate it.
Yes, sir.